Do allergies come from overheating?
Yes, of course, allergies are always a sign of heat on the skin, which triggers an inflammatory reaction, an allergy.
So do we need to change our diet as well?
Yes, you should eliminate fried foods and reduce the use of sunflower oil.
What about ghee?
Ghee is cooling. It doesn't cause overheating.
Can it be used for allergies?
Yes, clarified butter doesn't cause overheating. Feel free to ask questions.
How can we determine the extent of a person's borderline condition regarding their mental health? Where are the boundaries? They seem normal on the outside.
The boundary is determined only by behavior. If a person commits inadequate actions, it indicates mental illness.
What if they commit immoral actions?
There are different kinds of immoral actions. What do you mean by immoral? Are they simply indulging their senses too much, cheating or drinking? There are diseases of the mind and diseases of intelligence. Diseases of intelligence include alcoholism and drug addiction. Even the desire to eat meat is a disease of intelligence. From this perspective, it's hardly possible to refer to an illness here because we must then consider societal illness as a whole. For instance, in our society, milk has already become a harmful product, while meat is seen as beneficial. This is a distortion. From this viewpoint, people who live incorrectly, drinking or smoking a little, may appear quite healthy. However, according to the Vedas, these are diseases of intelligence because smoking and drinking are associated with the influence of spirits. Diseases of intelligence do not typically manifest as behavioral inadequacies unless large amounts of substances like alcohol are involved. When a person engages in actions that destroy their intelligence, they lose the ability to control themselves in life. They become more irritable. They might cheat or exhibit unstable or unpredictable behavior. Compared to individuals without such harmful habits, they are significantly less stable. This phenomenon is referred to as a disease of intelligence. The disease of intelligence manifests as an inability to control one's behavior. However, there are also diseases of the mind. These mental diseases of the mind are serious mental illnesses because the mind serves as the framework of the organism. The mind serves as the mental framework of the organism. If a person's intelligence is compromised, they behave and act as they please, while still appearing adequate. In contrast, if someone has lost their mind, they are inadequate. They cannot comprehend what is happening around them. Losing one's mind is a more serious issue. When a person commits immoral acts, it indicates that their intelligence is impaired. However, when someone has lost their mind or is losing their mind, they show signs of inadequate behavior. She should give a specific example. Otherwise, this is a useless conversation. We will never resolve the issue if you don't provide details about what is happening. Diseases of intelligence are linked to bad habits. They gradually lead to the destruction of the mind. For example, delirium tremens represents a significant deterioration in the structure of the mind. This condition is already classified as a mental illness. Simply consuming alcohol does not yet qualify as a mental illness. It merely signifies a disruption in the functioning of a person's intelligence.
In what situation should we help our parents?
The person needs treatment. If a person has a disease of the mind and behaves inadequately, this requires treatment. I will discuss this further today.
Does it require years of treatment?
You might not fully understand what treatment of the mind entails, which is why you are suggesting years of treatment. We will discuss this topic today. It's crucial to describe the situation clearly, otherwise our conversation is useless.
Is it considered an illness if someone cannot fall asleep for a long time, until 6 or 8 in the morning?
This is a disease of the subtle energy body. It definitely needs treatment. I will talk about this during the lecture.
What disruptions does this cause according to astrology?
Astrologically speaking, going east increases the influence of an invisible planet Rahu, which impacts the solar system. This planet increases coarseness in people. It fosters a propensity for drinking, swearing, unpredictable behavior, sensual promiscuity, and irritability. In contrast, moving westward, like in St. Petersburg, which is clearly a western city, intensifies the influence of Ketu. This planet gives people such qualities as coldness, alienation, and depression. Caution in relationships, inability to build close relationships, coldness in relationships, difficulty in getting close, difficulty in creating a family, difficulty in being together, depression, and so on. This alienation is especially pronounced in Europe. In Europe, alienation reaches high levels. People even commit suicide because of this. They cannot live. They feel very lonely. We can observe early signs of this already here in St. Petersburg.
Do these qualities apply to people born there?
These qualities affect those who live there. Those who move to such areas are even more impacted because they struggle to adapt to these energies. For example, in America, the influence of Ketu reaches its maximum. Ketu gives an outwardly cultured appearance where people communicate well, speak gently, behave politely, and smile, yet there are no close relationships. Hearts remain closed. People cannot let each other get close. On average, in America, it takes 5-10 years of dating before couples get married. It's very difficult. In Russia, people can meet and decide to register their marriage within 5 minutes. This represents another extreme. Ketu means people behave delicately, they communicate well. In areas heavily influenced by Ketu, everything seems very beautiful on the surface. There are trimmed bushes and beautiful houses, but people have cold hearts. They cannot build close personal relationships. They have no friends. It's very difficult for them to build relationships that are not transactional. Even in families, interactions are transactional. They focus on financial matters and count money there, who has how much. I personally find it disheartening. While in Los Angeles, I conducted approximately 150 consultations about personal relationships in America. Everyone who moved there, without exception, endured severe stress while getting used to this profound sense of alienation. They felt there was no one to talk to. This is such a terrible emotional distress. Who here has lived in the West or in America? Are there any? Raise your hands. Do you agree with me that this sense of alienation exists?
I was in a different country, where there's an ocean.
Italy and Spain are better. I agree with this. When east plus south, the southern direction brings different dynamics. Southern direction increases sensual promiscuity. People become loose. The eastern direction increases the tendency to drink, but in the east, in general, people's hearts become more open. In the west, the power of this intelligence, particularly linked to the frontal lobe, is heightened. This results in greater analytical thinking in life, more rational thought process, and individuals who are generally considered more civilized, intellectual, and educated. In the East, people are more heartfelt. They have open hearts and build relationships with their hearts. In the West, people build relationships with each other using intellect.
Dr. Torsunov, if a daughter tells her mother that she will kill her, does this pertain to the mind or intelligence?
This situation indicates a very low level of spirituality and a low relational depth in the family. This behavior doesn't solely reflect on your daughter. Would she say the same words in a temple? If you were together with her in a temple where services are being held, would your daughter say those same words to you?
No, she doesn't go there.
Precisely because such behavior would be inappropriate in that environment. If there were an altar at home, or some very sublime spiritual worship were taking place at home, the atmosphere would be different. It's impossible to behave like that there, you understand? This reflects a low standard of living. When a person walks around in their underwear, with an unbuttoned shirt and bare belly, it is a sign of low culture. If the situation changes and spiritual culture increases, then the level and quality of relationships will improve. You should start practicing spiritual activities at home. The home needs to become such a place. Not just your personal spiritual life, but your home should be spiritualized.
We live in different places.
Well, then you can't do much. Just communicate with him less.
I've developed a fear for my son. There have been many discussions about the patriarch's various actions, and my son exposed him while speaking on the radio.
There should be no gossip at our lectures.
I am afraid because you say that if you offend a holy person, it's a terrible sin and will be punished.
Yes, I referred to participating in gossip about people engaged in spiritual practice. Whether they practice perfectly or imperfectly doesn't matter. If one gossips about such individuals, they will be accountable to God for it.
What can I do?
Pray. Pray for your son. Internal relationships are important. What do you mean by help?
To help him change his worldview.
No one can change another person's worldview. Each living being has complete freedom of choice in this matter. Even God doesn't interfere with our worldview. We have the right to have any worldview, but to commit bad actions, a person needs to have a tough fate. To avoid such actions, one can and should pray, connect the hearts of relatives, and cleanse the heart from impurities. When the heart is cleansed, the tendency to do foolish things diminishes.
But will he be held accountable for this?
You now want to play the role of God.
I want to help my son.
No, you want to help yourself. Women have a peculiarity. They find happiness not from their own lives, but from the lives of their loved ones. This is also self-interest, even selfishness. You don't want to help your son now. You want to help yourself because you are unhappy. You need to acknowledge the truth first. If you want to help your son, the best way to do so is to calm down first and pray. Then build warm relationships with him, forgive him for his actions, and cultivate your warm relationship with him no matter what. This will maximize your positive influence on him. Right now, you cannot influence him positively because you are attached to his good behavior. This indicates a desire to control him. You want to live his life for him. This means you are behaving like God, not like a human being.
I don't have the ability to control him.
You need to listen now. If you speak, I will be silent, and our conversation will end there. You don't understand what it means to control. To control means wanting him to live as you wish. This is selfishness. This is not selflessness. A selfless person behaves differently. They have no emotional reaction to the situation. They remain calm and polite, treating others kindly. Selflessness manifests this way. Self-interest is always expressed through emotions, aggression, pressure, and attempts to change a person. Selflessness means allowing freedom of choice. Self-interest means the desire to change someone. When you begin praying, you will enter a state of selflessness and connect to holiness. In this state, you will first forgive your son's actions and accept him as he is. You must understand that you have been given this son because you behaved this way in past lives, and you are now responsible for it. Furthermore, if you hadn't behaved the same way, you wouldn't have received such a son even in the process of upbringing. So first, focus on yourself. This is my son, and I need to pray to forgive him for this behavior first. Then when you forgive, you will be able to interact kindly with him, and your positive qualities will begin to be transmitted to him. This happens through the heart. The voice of conscience will begin to work within him. Your son will start to feel that something isn't right in his life. He will sense it himself. If you do this very well, he might even come to you, be open with you, and ask, "Why has my life deteriorated? Something bad has happened in my life." But you're still far from this point because you are aggressively trying to find happiness at the expense of your son's life. This aggressive desire for happiness is a sign of rigid selfishness in women. Consequently, children usually behave very independently and harshly towards their mothers. They may not want anything to do with their mother because such a mother tends to pressure them heavily with her desire for them to be happy. She often decides how they should be happy, not allowing their own lives to decide. This tendency applies to all women, not just her. Men also face their own issues in this regard, but we won't discuss that now, as our topic today is health. We will now start gradually. Let me now briefly introduce the subject. We will discuss not only my methods, but also what health and treatment mean in general. This way, you can start to understand the current situation surrounding us regarding health. Several key principles you will hear will help you choose the direction of your treatment. I ask for your blessing now so that I can focus on helping you and not promoting my methods during this lecture. This point is important because in such talks, people often try to steer the discussion in their own direction.
Dr. Torsunov, we bless you. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Look at these beautiful flowers. They represent what her love looks like, so bright. We need to understand that there is a certain subordination in terms of our functioning. There is the physical body, and then there is the prana of a person's subtle energy. A person has feelings, a mind, intelligence, and a soul. I listed everything in order, with the physical body being the most subordinate of all structures, as it is the most dependent. It depends on many factors. Next, in second place, is what is conditionally called the pranic body. However, in essence, there is no such body. It's simply a person's subtle energy conditionally referred to as the prana body. Prana, or a person's subtle energy, nourishes the physical body but depends on the subtle energy body. The next structure is a person's feelings, which belong to the mind. A person's feelings are linked to the mind, but they are closely connected to the external world. Therefore, they are distinguished as a separate structure, the sensory activity of a person. Next comes the subtle energy body of the mind. The subtle energy body of the mind controls the entire physical body and the subtle energy, prana. A person's physical health depends on the activity of the subtle energy body of the mind. This subtle energy body itself is influenced by fate. Within it exists a structure from which the energy of fate emerges. Certain mental impulses arise that are influenced by the surrounding space. At a certain moment, the space-time continuum creates a force within the depths of the mind that causes a person to experience either suffering or joy. This is a separate topic. I have another lecture on the laws of karma. You can listen to it. Another structure exists that controls the subtle energy body of the mind, called intelligence. This intelligence structure has an even more subtle nature. Intelligence is not subordinate to the mind, it is the mind that is subordinate to intelligence. Intelligence, in turn, nurtures the mind with the energy of happiness. The next structure which subordinates everything to itself is the soul. The soul is the essence of I. Not my soul, but I am the soul. Saying my soul implies I am the body and I have a soul there that I don't know. I am fundamentally the soul. The physical body is not the entirety of me. It's a vessel for the soul. The soul inhabits the body. It acts like a driver in a car. Therefore, the body is an important part of life, but not absolutely essential. We can exist without a body. Without the soul, we don't exist. This is clear in theory, but in practice, once someone truly understands that they are a soul, they have nothing more to do here on earth. They have essentially finished their work here. This framework also explains diseases. There are diseases of the physical body. There are diseases of prana, of the pranic body. There are diseases of feelings. There are diseases of the mind. There are diseases of intelligence. There are diseases of the soul. From the perspective of the soul, everyone here is, in a way, ill. Absolutely everyone, because truly spiritually healthy people are not typically present on this planet. Or they are only temporarily present, they recover and leave this place. According to the Vedas, this entire material world in which we live is not a place for the spiritually advanced. Here live mainly those who live incorrectly. From a spiritual point of view, this is a complex issue. It may seem revolutionary for many of you. I am simply conveying the truth. I was born in the Urals. I am a simple person, and I am simply conveying the truth, regardless of how you react. People appreciate my honesty. Different types of ailments are interconnected. Deeper diseases affect all other ones. Diseases of the physical body depend on diseases of prana. Prana is the vital energy within the body. This energy manifests as vitality, weakness, or lethargy. If a person lacks prana, they will have issues with their blood pressure. They will lack the ability to think clearly. Thus, artificially boosting pressure, for example, is nonsense. We must address the subtle energy body of prana directly. For example, practices like pranayama, when a person does breathing exercises, activate the movement of prana in the body. This practice fosters vitality and vigor. Vigor and vitality are not simply about caffeine. Does coffee affect the subtle energy body of prana? Let's consider that question. Let's immediately think very quickly and boldly. We will not list further. You understood the pattern that diseases of the physical body are not cured if we do not treat prana. If we do not treat the mind and feelings, prana is not cured. If we do not treat intelligence, the mind is not cured. If we do not treat the soul, nothing is cured. Is the system clear? Now let's continue. Chemical medicines have no biological energy. Pharmaceutical treatments act only on the physical body. Let's take medicines that are connected with life. Is there life in herbs? Who thinks that herbs are not alive? Raise your hands.
Fresh herbs or dried?
Dried. There are signs. I'll explain this concept to you now. Fresh herbs are alive. Plants have a soul. The soul is located at the base of the plant's root. Plants experience life in a state of deep sleep. The soul can live in different mental states. Life in deep sleep means not remembering oneself at all. It manifests through the desire for happiness. The plant grows toward the sun. Life in deep sleep manifests through the desire to reproduce and protect itself. The plant has a protective layer, bark. It manifests through relationships. Gardeners know that plants tolerate some relationships and do not tolerate others. Plants grown in harmony create strong energies that deter pests. It's called synergism. Even beetles don't go there. They feel it's difficult. They go where this energy is weaker. There are relationships. These are the signs of life in plants. If someone says that plants are not alive, how do they explain why plants strive for the sun and reproduce? Why do they protect themselves? Why do they interact? And why do they emit subtle energy? How do plants emit subtle energy? Through sense. Sense change our psyche. They don't just affect the physical body, they change our mental state. The lecturer gives poetry examples relating plants to emotions. These associations are real. Raspberries are associated with love, and so are roses. I won't go into details, but it's a fact. These plants are connected with the energy of love. Each plant has its own mood and character.
Does the location of a plant play a role?
If a good plant grows in a bad place, it helps mentally to people around it.
Doesn't it absorb the negative energy of a place?
For example, pumpkins are known to have a very strong protection against negative planetary influences, particularly Rahu. Rahu is an evil, negative planet. Dried pumpkin has a long history of use in Russia as a safeguard against inebriation. People keep dried pumpkins in their homes to ward off evil spirits. This is an example that such influence exists even when the plant is no longer fresh. Now let's continue. Sleep with dreams represents an animal form of life. This state gradually awakens in different life forms. The living beings awaken more and more. Consider a jellyfish. Have you looked into a jellyfish's eyes? The look has no apparent expression. A fish has a somewhat clouded look. Basically, fish only possess two fundamental senses. These are the senses of fear and curiosity. That's it. This is the extent of their experience. Those who have kept an aquarium know that if you look a fish in the eyes, you can only see fear. Moving up the scale, there are lizards. Lizards show some more activity. They are more active and curious. They explore their surroundings, climbing everywhere, but still demonstrate fear prominently. Birds represent the next life form, with a more awakened consciousness, expressing themselves through songs and calls. Although there is no joy in their eyes, they don't show it at all. Instead, they express it in their hearts. They chirp and sing, and somehow joy begins to appear within them. Wild animals. They already display some emotions and react to the world in their own way. Has anyone here kept both a rabbit and a cat at home at the same time? Have you kept a rabbit and a cat? Did you notice the difference in their thinking and the manifestation of consciousness? A rabbit has a very dull look. In contrast, a cat communicates, experiences joy and sadness, and purrs. Its consciousness is very pronounced and developed. Although a cat is smaller than a rabbit and its brain isn't larger, its consciousness is far more advanced. It behaves sociably and engages in communication. It can smile and show sadness. A rabbit, on the other hand, doesn't smile or express sadness. It's simply afraid.
Before my cat died, he would come when I was reading prayers or playing lectures, and it would sit nearby.
My lectures?
Yes. He would sit and listen. When the lecture ended, he would leave.
This is a very good indicator for me. I once analyzed the listener's intelligence to determine at what level I should give lectures and when I should not. You have inspired me. I can lecture to everyone regardless of their level of consciousness. That's a joke. Let's move forward. The next level is predators. They have a more developed consciousness than rabbits, moose, deer, and so on. There are also domestic animals. Domestic animals possess the most developed intellect. Dogs can smile, demonstrate optimism, and show loyalty. Loyalty is a sign of advanced consciousness. Consider the wolf and the dog. Their bodies are similar, but their consciousness operates differently. A wolf lacks loyalty and has more aggression. This indicates more inhibited consciousness. A human being is in the process of awakening consciousness. A human has not yet fully awakened. They are awakening. How can one distinguish an awakening person from an awakened one? An awakened person has a higher purpose in life and sets goals for themselves. They know that they are eternal and that they will not die with the death of the body. They understand that they have past lives. An awakened individual recognizes the existence of an inner world, a conscience, a subtle life, and a subtle energy body. They understand concepts like love, holiness, and purity. In contrast, an awakening person does not have such concepts. They say, eat, drink, and have fun. Everything is fine. We only live once. No problems. There is no conscience here. The goal is to make money. All happiness is found in money. There is nothing sublime. There is also alert consciousness in people. This is the fifth level, alert consciousness. Alert consciousness means there are no sins within. It represents very sublime, pure thinking, holiness, and a high level of personality development, the highest level. When branches are cut from plants, those plants continue to grow even more vigorously. They become awakened to a certain extent when the branches are removed, prompting better growth. When a branch is dried and taken from a plant, the soul remains connected to that branch for a long time. It is believed that until the physical body decays, the connection to the soul remains on the subtle plane. That's why plants retain their biological power for a long time. They possess subtle energy. This subtle energy is linked to the soul that once inhabited this plant. That's why plants have healing powers. If they are dried properly to prevent rot, the connection with the plant's soul remains intact for a long time, and this biological energy heals. It has healing properties. When a person is healed by plants, the plant that heals them receives a higher birth. This creates a good interconnection and cooperation. However, when we are treated with animal bodies, they don't preserve well. An animal's body rots quickly. It spoils quickly. The biological energy of an animal has a less pure character. It carries dirty energy for us since the animal is aware that it has left its body. When the subtle energy body departs from plants, it is unaware. It is in a state of sleep. But an animal feels that someone has taken its life. This awareness acts like a curse on those who attempt to heal using animal energy. People often use animal bones or other parts for healing. All of this negatively affects a person's mental structure and psyche. Therefore, treatment with animal products not intended for life, unlike dairy products which are meant for life, does not purify the mind or consciousness. Such treatments may heal the physical body, but the subtle energy body will be contaminated. You can also be healed through the energy of living beings. You can be healed through the energy of people. Some individuals have the ability to heal using their energy. With subtle energy, a person can heal another person. Animals can also heal with their energy of love. If you treat an animal well, the animal can have a great deal of love energy, just like humans. Love is not necessarily manifested only in consciousness that is completely pure. There are different types of love. A horse can also love its owner, providing health and strength. A cow gives strength as well. Animals have the potential to heal.
What about leeches?
Leeches also love us very much. People even utilize leeches for their healing properties. However, leeches are in a state of severe degradation. They only feed on bad blood. Therefore, they look for bad blood. If the blood is good, they refuse it. They don't like it. It's not tasty for them. People can exhibit similar behavior. A woman can be pious and religious but undesirable to a man. A man can prefer a woman who is loose, then he marries her, attracted to that type. Leeches function similarly. People use this quality of leeches to suck out bad blood. This is a beneficial medical treatment with leeches.
What about dietary supplements? They are made from plants, but with the help of technology.
When people process plants using technology, they apply their intellect. The rule is this: divine intelligence surpasses human intelligence. When plants undergo minimal processing, they are more effective for healthier treatment methods. Additionally, many other healing factors exist. The Earth also possesses biological power. The Earth is a personality. Planet Earth is under the influence of a highly developed personality. There are people and there are divine personalities, not God, but more highly developed beings. This is described in the Vedas. The Earth itself also possesses healing energy. If someone claims that the Earth lacks healing energy, then why do people settle in nature? People feel help from the Earth. They enjoy walking on it and feel support and the energy from the Earth. They feel rejuvenated by the Earth. The 5 elements have healing properties. Each of the 5 elements contribute to healing in different ways. We need to understand that 2 elements in our body have a static nature, while the other 3 elements have a dynamic nature. Among the 5 elements is the earth element, which strengthens and provides the framework for the human body. It embodies a static nature. There is the element of water, the next element. This is a dynamic element. It changes. Water connects everything in the body. The element of water connects everything in the body. It unites things that are not connected. Without water, there is no life. When water dries up, there is no possibility for interaction. The entire body interacts through the energy of water. You need to understand that this is not just water and not just earth. The Vedas explain that there are forces that make matter solid, unmoving. This force is called the primordial element of earth, and the primordial element of earth is the finest particle of creation. There are 5 such fine particles in creation, the finest ones. The very first particle is called the primordial element of ether. This particle creates space, all kinds of space. You might think we exist in one space, but inside your body there are many spaces. For example, there is a physical body, it has its own anatomy. Inside the physical body is the subtle energy body. That's a different space. The subtle energy body of the mind, and inside it, subtle energy body of the intellect. This is an even more subtle space. There's also the soul, an even more subtle space, that's the spiritual space. And they all unite into one structure, but they are completely different dimensions, different spaces. Through the space of the mind, we are all connected right now through sound and memory. We have all united together right now. You feel me and I feel you through this space of mental activity. When a person listens to a lecture, they immediately make contact with the person giving the lecture. If the lecturer is living rightly, the life of the listener improves. If he is living wrongly, their life becomes worse. This is not purely dependent on the logic of what is being said. It depends on how the person giving the knowledge is living. The mental space is a more complex space through which we interact with each other. In the mental space, relatives are strongly connected with each other. Relational space is a mental space where relatives deeply depend on one another. When one relative is suffering, energy from all the other relatives automatically flows into their life. That's why all relatives feel when their loved one is in pain, and they have two options for how to react. The first is to fight for their life. This is called inner or spiritual life. We pray, wishing everyone happiness. The second option is to whine, stay in depression, and suffer along with them. This is called spiritual laziness or spiritual egoism. Suffering for another person without praying, whining, is spiritual egoism. As in the song, I can do everything, I will not break my vows. The subtle energy body of the mind has an even deeper nature. The primordial element of ether creates various spaces. In the physical body, the density of the primordial element of ether is low. In the subtle energy body of the mind, it's higher. And in the subtle energy body of the intellect, even higher density. The primordial element of ether and the soul are not connected with the physical space at all. The primordial element of ether is coarse energy. This is not spiritual energy, this is subtle material energy. There is coarse material energy, and you can feel it. And then there is subtle material energy, which is invisible. And it gives life to visible energy. If there is no primordial element of ether, there will be no space here at all. Now scientists have discovered that there are black holes, where the universe emerges from and where it enters. Space collapses in this black hole, and at this point a small hole, the entire universe goes into it. Space folds there. There is no ether there. Let's continue. The next primordial element, which includes the primordial element of ether, is the primordial element of air. It gives all kinds of movement in this world. The movement of nerve cells, the movement of thoughts, our movement, you understand? All types of movement, that's the primordial element of air, a dynamic primordial element. Whereas the primordial element of ether is static, it just creates space, the framework. The primordial element of air, the dynamic element, creates movement. Movement fills a person with possibilities and strength. We move with the help of air. When it fills the mind, it gives the person the resolve to achieve goals. Movement also takes place in intelligence. The pursuit of a goal is movement in intelligence. There can be movement in the mind. It's a person's search. As in the song, I can't forget you, what should I do? The search goes on. Where are you? I don't know. Where are you? I repeat like an echo. Where are you? It echoes from the heights. The search is in the mind when a person searches for someone in their consciousness. Memory is the tool of the mind. When a person remembers, they find. Memory is the main force of the mind. It's linked to intelligence. The next primordial element is the primordial element of fire. The primordial element of fire creates transformations, changes everything. Fire is needed to carry out all chemical reactions. The primordial element of fire is the force that causes transformations. For you to absorb my lecture, you need the primordial element of fire. If you say, Dr. Torsunov, I'm not getting it, I don't understand what you're saying, it means the primordial element of fire, of thinking, is lacking. All the primordial element of fire has gone into the reproductive organs or the stomach. Got it? It distributes throughout the body differently, depending on our desires. This is a dynamic primordial element. The next primordial element is water. It connects everything. The primordial element of fire causes transformations and changes. We've absorbed the material, we've burned something, right? It has transformed. Love is the energy of fire, transformation. Something is happening with my heart, right? Transformation is happening. Love. Water connects everything. It brings harmony. The energy of fire is the masculine principle. The energy of water is the feminine principle. Women connect everything in harmony. She fears disharmony. She says, dress better. My wife says, it's cold in St. Petersburg. I say, but I'm hot. She says, still put something warm. She wants harmony so I don't get too cold. Feminine nature harmonizes everything, while masculine nature is about battle. Next, the final primordial element of earth creates a framework for the physical body. How can we use this in our lives? All the primordial elements are available for us to work with. If a person feels cold in the body, if they are constantly freezing, they need the primordial element of fire, which has various forms. For example, the sun is fire. You need to spend more time in the sun, but you might say there's no sun in St. Petersburg. I'll tell you something. If there is no direct sunlight in St. Petersburg, then there's subtle sunlight. It's called tejas. When a person repeats, "I wish everyone happiness," they connect with the subtle energy of the sun and receive the same solar energy in their body, but of a better quality. Much better than just the physical sunlight. Thus, "I wish everyone happiness" is a treatment with fire energy. It's the ability to heal yourself by filling yourself with fire. Wishing everyone happiness gives a person optimism, activity, mental strength, power of intelligence, the ability to digest food, overcome challenges and illnesses. When a person repeats, "I wish everyone happiness," and if they do it properly, if they truly wish happiness to everyone, genuinely tune into the energy of a holy person, then they fill themselves with this energy, the strength to overcome, tejas, the power of the sun. This is how we can use the energy of fire. How can we use the energy of air in healing? When a person feels weakness, sluggishness, or sadness. Sadness means a lack of air energy, therefore movement is needed. When I walk, what am I doing? I'm generating air energy. I increase my activity and my energy rises. Depression means a lack of air energy. Movement is needed. A good method for treating depression is walking in the forest. When a person walks in the forest, they connect with trees which possess subtle energy. Depression means there's no air in the mind. The mind has become stagnant because the life goal chosen was wrong. He left me, he passed away, and so on. The person loses the desire to live. That's depression. Walking in the forest restores the strength of intelligence and air energy, and depression fades. Energy and the will to live return. Running. There are different types of prana disturbances in the body. For example, when a person is very tense, constantly stressed. This is expressed by very tense muscles, and someone asks them, "Why are you so tense?" When a person is extremely tense, they need to do static exercises, freezing in one position and holding still. This helps to treat static tension through static exercises. Sometimes a person experiences spasms in their body. Spasms or sudden pains can occur, and they can be treated with pranayama, using breathing exercises and breath retention to relieve spasms. Sometimes a person simply lacks vital air. They feel lethargic, weak constantly. This is treated with dynamic exercises through various gymnastics. Women benefit more from artistic gymnastics, like dance, for example. Men need more strength-based exercises. If a person gets mentally exhausted, they should engage in physical activity, moving around. To rest mentally, movement is required. The mind relaxes through movement. If a person is physically tired, they should engage mentally. That's when true rest happens. The energy of water represents metabolism and so on. A person needs the energy of water, that's swimming. Every morning you should take a shower. The energy of water relieves tension in the subtle energy body. The subtle energy body becomes polluted from sleep. When a person takes a shower, the sleep is washed away from the body, and optimism and vitality set in. Women may avoid wetting their hair every day. Women can wear shower caps. The subtle energy body will still be cleansed. There's no need to wet the hair, as drying it takes time. Women are sensitive, and if they go out in a draft, they may catch a cold and so on. This doesn't mean they shouldn't shower. It's essential to take a shower every morning, at least for 2 to 3 minutes, to cleanse the subtle energy body. The energy of water also brings calmness. It's important to have a calm voice, meaning you should speak to everyone calmly to establish harmony. Harmony is also established by maintaining a daily routine. I have a lecture on the importance of a daily routine, which establishes harmony with the universe. A person doesn't spend too much energy on life because the sun digests food. Maximum digestion happens when the sun is at its zenith. Therefore, when we eat the most at lunch, the body will digest food easily. If we eat the most in the evening, it will digest 10 times worse, and this will lead to more health problems. Following a daily routine allows a person to heal 50% of diseases. Now I will ask for a different microphone. With the Earth's energy, a person calms down and relieves tension. Sleep improves when the energy of the Earth increases in the body. The energy of ether, of space, allows a person to heal through prayer. All types of space are restored through prayer, through sound. Now I will tell you about what we do and the goal of our treatment. In fact, my main treatment is my lectures. Through my lectures, I change the spiritual body and the body of intelligence of a person. These are the main bodies that allow a person to be healthy. If a person is not aligned emotionally, does not wish happiness to everyone, does not forgive, or asks for forgiveness, it is impossible to heal them. They will not be healthy because there will always be tendencies towards illness. Their subtle energy body of the mind will not function properly due to the fact that they are not living with the right mindset, the right consciousness. Therefore, lectures are the foundation of my treatment. But it's also important to know that, in general, there are two categories of people. Some can help themselves, and others cannot. There are two categories of people who cannot help themselves. The first category is someone who is living the right life, but has entered a very difficult period and needs help. Where can this help come from? From someone who can use the energy of nature. There is also surgical help. This also helps, but I do not practice it. It also helps, but it is the last resort. Sometimes something needs to be removed if it is already falling off. That's also good and correct, but it's the extreme case. It's important too. For example, if a malignant tumor is small, it's better to remove it and not worry. The danger is too great. There are illnesses that come as a result of heavy fate for those who live correctly, and there are illnesses that arise because a person lives incorrectly. These illnesses, when a person lives incorrectly, can become so severe that help is required. Help always means that a doctor uses some of nature's energies. What energies of nature do we use? In our center, we use the energy of herbs. Herbs are plants that have a force lower than that of humans, and the energy of herbs harmonizes everything in the body. Herbs are not generally capable of radically changing a person's health. They are capable of improving health gradually, over time. On one hand, herb treatments are less dangerous, but on the other hand, their effects cannot effectively heal a person very quickly. With rare exceptions, there are herbs that have great power, but they should be used by a doctor who is capable of managing these strong energies. This means feeling the person individually. Most doctors today are not able to feel a person individually, so don't expect them to cure you from a serious illness quickly. This is possible when you use herbs and plants that have more power than a human's strength. This means that the energy might not go where it should, and instead of healing, something might fall off. Therefore, high qualifications are necessary in this field. Next, the energy of trees is stronger than that of humans, so trees are already capable of healing people more powerfully. I know a doctor in southern India who uses the bark of trees to treat many severe diseases. He has his own methods applying tree bark powder to the abdomen or giving a decoction of this bark to drink. Trees have more power than plants, so in general, trees are not commonly used for healing. This is because people feel strength, danger. Usually we use herbs, but not very strong ones. Most medicinal herbs in pharmacies are not strong herbs, and you should be wary of strong herbs like cinquefoil. This is a powerful and dangerous plant, and many have already overused it to the point of harm. If you're offered a strong remedy, don't use it by yourself without an experienced doctor. As for dietary supplements, I can't say they're entirely a bad approach. Dietary supplements are a business, and how does this business work? The goal of people creating dietary supplements is to cover a wide range of diseases and show some positive effects on certain conditions. My analysis of all dietary supplements showed that this is a weak treatment. They are mainly intended for health prevention. But when they are advertised as natural vitamins and replacements for something natural, don't believe it, it's a complete deception. Because the most natural treatment with vitamins is simply sprouted seeds, fresh food, and so on. Natural foods contain more vitamins and healing powers for maintaining health than the mixtures we are offered as higher quality substitutes for these natural products. When vitamins are offered as a substitute for sprouted seeds or fresh herbs, it's madness. It's a deviation from the proper understanding of things. It's wrong. Dietary supplements are sometimes necessary. They can provide good help if they are high quality and properly selected. The Coral Club, they make high quality products. That's why it helps. Corals really influence the human immune system. Everything they say is true, but it doesn't work as a treatment. It's just preventive things that support health, help with viral diseases, and so on. These supplements are good when a disease starts. It's okay to support yourself a little with this. But only use those that are popular and well known. The less known supplements are riskier because there's a greater chance you've been deceived. And you can go in another direction. Never use supplements that claim to be super effective. That's very dangerous because these supplements are made from strong plants, and their goal is simply to excite the mind with a strong effect, and then everything falls apart. Use these supplements only for preventive purposes. Never use them for treatment because they will never heal you. It's foolish to think you can make a blend that works equally well for everyone. It's complete madness to think like that. Every person has a completely unique body, and what works for everyone only has a preventive effect.
But if different animals eat plants and heal, can people do the same?
Just because an animal eats something doesn't mean it will definitely heal. I've studied all the facts. I studied them not from the perspective of the fanaticism spread by those promoting it, but from the perspective of clear, rational understanding. This is business, remember. Any strong remedy can both help greatly and harm greatly. Keep that in mind.
How does honey affect the body?
I won't go into the specifics of how things affect the body. That would take too long. In general, I'll say that there are beneficial products like milk and honey. Honey is woven from sun energy. The energy of plant pollen is the energy of love from plants. Honey is in a state of goodness. Milk is the energy of love from cows. It's also in a state of goodness. Overall, these are very helpful. This is a general overview. I won't go into details. Plants taken internally work the most gently. This is the safest form of treatment. People can drink herbal tea to maintain their health. That's a good idea. You need to study how they work, feel it yourself, try to understand it all, and use it for maintaining health. But consuming food products properly is even better for maintaining health. The general tendency is to increase the amount of raw food in cities because we lack prana. Raw food means prana. Since cities are made of stone, there is not enough prana energy in cities. If a person lives in a big city, at least half of their ration should consist of raw food, and half of it should consist of cooked food. They shouldn't eat only raw food. Otherwise, there will be a lot of prana, but not enough fire, so diseases related to excess prana in the body will occur. These are conditions where bones crack, spasms in the body, strong tension, blood pressure rises, insomnia starts, irritability, unstable thinking, and so on. Now I'm going to tell you about my methods and what they are based on. What's the idea behind it? The idea lies in the individual approach, how to treat an injury. Before talking about that, I'll first share my discoveries in the field of the subtle energy body. Ayurveda says that there are dhatus in the body. Dhatus are the layers of the subtle energy body that regulate the internal organs and systems of the body. There are 7 of these layers. The first layer is the outer one. It regulates the skin, the mucous membrane inside all organs. Each dhatu has 2 petals. There is an inner petal inside and an outer one outside. The outer petal regulates the skin, lymphatic vessels, small capillaries, everything related to the skin in the body. This is the first petal, the outer one. Next, the second layer regulates the entire circulatory system, everything related to the blood. It also has 2 petals. The outer one is for the outer blood vessels. The inner one is for the blood vessels of the internal organs and mucous membranes in the body. The third layer is connected to the muscular system. The outer petal regulates the outer muscles, and the inner one regulates the muscles of the organs. There is a 4th layer, which is connected to the fatty tissue and the internal organs. The outer petal is associated with the fat layer of the body, while the inner one is connected to all the internal organs. The 5th layer is associated with the skeletal system and joints. The outer petal is linked to the joints of the arms and legs, and the inner one is connected to the spine. The 6th layer is related to the nervous system and part of the body's hormonal functions. And the 7th, deepest layer is connected to the hormonal functions of the body. These layers also control mental functions of a person. The outermost, the 1st layer, is associated with memory, sleep, and thinking. The 2nd layer is connected to the vessels and emotions. A person's emotional state depends on this layer. The 3rd layer, which is associated with the muscles, is responsible for the overall tone of the body. The 4th layer, linked to the internal organs and fat, is responsible for a person's mood. The 5th layer, which is related to the skeletal system, is responsible for concentration, focus, and attention. The 6th layer, associated with the nervous system, is responsible for mental adequacy and the ability to perceive the world correctly. The 7th, deepest layer, is responsible for reproductive functions, hormonal functions, and deep hormonal regulation, such as through the thalamus and hypothalamus. Sexual organs and hormones are connected to this deepest layer. This is where the sensation of happiness resides. How does the energy of happiness flow? It flows into sexual life and life in general. If all the energy of happiness is spent on sexual life, there will be no happiness left in life. You open the faucet of happiness and let all the happiness flow through the sexual organs. This is just a comparison. What does Ayurveda know and what does it use? Ayurveda uses the fact that in each of these layers there are 3 moving energies, which I will explain now. The energy of water, when it moves incorrectly, creates stagnation in the body, which turns into toxins. This is called kapha dosha. When such stagnations occur at the level of, say, the first layer, various growths appear on the skin of a person. At the second layer, a person may experience increased blood pressure, cholesterol levels. Then comes the energy of fire. All inflammatory processes are a manifestation of the fire element. The next energy is air, leading to spasms, tension, and dryness in these channels. These energies are constantly changing, with one energy overloading the system and then another, and so on. However, when we learn to test the subtle energy body, we notice that each person has something in their body. Within each of these 7 channels, there are smaller subchannels. Within these channels, there are zones. Out of these 7, 3 channels in a person's body suffer throughout their life. This is what we observed in the study. For example, some people do not have problems in the head area, but their neck area or skin tend to become more congested than anywhere else. This same person may also suffer from fatty tissue buildup in another area. And one channel will inevitably be affected twice in one of these areas of the body. For example, this person may have another issue in a different place. I've drawn the structure of these issues, and it leads to the following conclusion. A person with skin diseases will tend to have obesity, inflammation of internal organs, and hormonal regulation issues. This is lifelong, the person's constitution from birth. It is something that is fixed from birth and never changes.
Does this mean we have to accept it?
Yes, you just have to accept that there is a tendency toward this, but that doesn't mean it will definitely be a problem. It's just a tendency. I can determine a person's constitution in 10 minutes. It's not easy to do. I can't determine the constitution for everyone in the room right now. But we will definitely do an experiment. I'll take someone and just explain their constitution to them in a kind way. So everyone is different. It's not that everyone will have the exact same issues. Each person has their own variations, but there are always 2 problems in one of the petals and 1 in each of the other 2.
Why?
Because where the energy of air acts, it causes 2 problems at once. Where the energy of fire acts, it causes 1 problem. And where the energy of water acts, it also causes 1 problem. The energy of air in the body is central. It is the most important, and therefore it acts like a framework, even in illness. It's like a seesaw. Something is affected in 2 places, and something in just 1. There's a place in the body where there are 2 problems at once. And we've noticed that diseases tend to accumulate most often when they reach this point. Diseases gradually accumulate, starting from the outside and moving inward. If we're talking about chronic conditions, this happens in childhood. Children most often suffer from issues in the outer petals, meaning they mostly experience skin problems, respiratory issues, colds, digestive problems, and bowel movements. If the damage started very early, even during the fetal stage, then it could be deeper. What do children usually suffer from? Mostly skin diseases, nutrition issues, and digestive problems, so the outer petals are typically affected in children, and they don't usually suffer much mentally. Children typically don't have metabolic or nervous system issues. Generally, they experience damage related to simpler things, such as nutrition and digestive system function. In older age, damage accumulates more inside. The older a person gets, the more prone they are to nervous disorders. That is, the nervous system and hormonal functions begin to suffer with age, extra weight appears, leading to more profound issues. What is the essence of my discovery? The structure of trees is exactly the same. And where 2 channels are affected in trees, this is where most diseases accumulate, in these 2 channels. And this is also where the cleansing energy accumulates. So we took trees and classified them, made a table of the classification of the subtle energy body of trees, and discovered that trees have different components. For example, roots are associated with the energy of fire. If a person eats roots that have the same constitution as theirs, the result is the burning away of chronic diseases. When a person eats the trunk of a tree, or something associated with the trunk, it causes tension in these channels. When it is something related to the bark, it cleanses these channels. The bark has a protective power. It cleanses. We utilize the energy of the bark. We studied 300 types of trees and created special tables that allow us to select specific trees for each person, trees that will specifically cleanse their subtle energy body. For about 4 years, we've been studying this phenomenon of the influence of trees on the body. Gradually, our knowledge deepened. In general, we went through the following stage. We started with a bark thickness of about 10 centimeters. 10 centimeters is 100 millimeters. We began with 150 millimeters and found that there was some therapeutic effect, but later we realized that with this kind of influence, channels are stimulated if they are not severely infected with diseases. In this case, they heal, but if they are heavily infected, then they do not. Then we moved on to the next level, where the bark thickness was around 400-500 millimeters. In this case, the channels started to cleanse, but they weren't completely cleaned, and more serious diseases began to pass. Later, we reached a thickness of 700 millimeters. The bark weight was from 2 to 8 kilograms, such a large package. In this case, we started to fully cleanse the channels. But we noticed that when a person wears the bark for a long time, the channels become overstimulated and start to dry out because the person experiences strong tension in the body. To overcome this tension, we then created a comprehensive treatment where the person oils their body while wearing the bark. But I studied all the pharmacy herbs and discovered that herbs also have their own constitution. What do? We diagnose a person's constitution, select those herbs that suit the person and mix them in the right proportions. A person takes the herbal treatment and it harmonizes all these channels, cleansing the body. This is a gentler method, a softer cleansing. We give these herb proportions to the person and they can then buy them in the pharmacy, mix them, and it lasts for their whole life. They can treat themselves with it forever. Our treatment consists of main postulates, that is, treatment with bark. The bark is worn on the back. There is interaction with the subtle energy body. The bark acts reflexively, affecting the subtle energy body. Each piece of bark has its own energy direction in the body, just like a person. We combine all of this, and cleansing begins either from the top or the bottom. We've seen many interesting things confirming that we are acting correctly. How can we determine that this is not just made up? Very simply, when we select the bark, we focus on 16 indicators of the subtle energy body. And if I make a mistake in diagnosing even one indicator, the person does not get better. They put on the bark and quickly feel worse. They can tell it's not working. We remove it, test again, and change everything. As soon as we get it right, they immediately feel better. That's the first thing. The second thing is that we see tangible results. One woman, around 85 to 90 years old, had her entire face covered with papillomas. There was no healthy skin visible. We put the bark on her and starting from her forehead. Over the course of 2 weeks, these papillomas dried up and fell off as the channels were cleaned. Her face cleared completely. The same goes for skin diseases. When a person treats them, the skin starts to cleanse either from the top or from the bottom. It happens exactly as we planned. Everything works scientifically clearly as it should, but it requires a very strong connection with the patient in this methodology because the bark can overload a patient at some point, and then we need to stay in contact. We have 2 doctors who communicate with those who feel that something is wrong, and then we give recommendations. I conduct all of the diagnosis just by looking at the photo. I don't even need personal contact with the person. I simply look at the photo, test the person's subtle energy body, and in 15 minutes I can test the entire constitution. Then we start assembling the bark based on the photo, determining the thickness. The person arrives and the bark is already ready. Why is that so? Because it takes 3 weeks to collect the bark. Sometimes we have to send an expedition to some part of Russia to cut the bark for them. We don't only collect bark in the Krasnodar region. Most of the time we have supplies, so there are no problems, but there are various situations, so it takes time to gather everything. What are the results? We already have specific diseases that are a priority for us. We have noticed that we are particularly effective in these cases because the method seems to be best developed for them. If we talk about chronic diseases, all chronic diseases should be treated with this method if done correctly. At the moment, where are we most effective? With children who have autism, intellectual disabilities, cerebral palsy, there's always improvement. It doesn't mean we cure them, but parents can really see an improvement in intelligence, body relaxation. They notice improvements in many indicators and so on. This is the first area where everyone praises us, saying it works very well. The second area is joints, especially severe joint conditions that no one else treats. This is something we can really help with very effectively. The third area is mental disorders, when a person is prone to schizophrenia and so on. They're in a normal state, but on medication, for example. It's actually possible to take a person off medications within a year or two. This is a long treatment because the channels generally take about 6 months to clear for a healthy person. If the person is sick, it will take about a year for them to return to a more or less normal state. But even if someone is mentally ill and their mental channels are cleared, they're still weak. Mental disorders are located in the second layer. So a person who was mentally ill cannot become perfectly healthy in terms of their mental state, but they can live normally without episodes and they function more or less well. Next, what we've been treating well are benign tumors, especially smaller ones like erosions, polyps, and so on. Anything that has started growing inside but hasn't grown too much. Our method works well for this. In some cases, we've helped with fibroids. That is, we've even had cases where large fibroids have disappeared. I won't speak about malignant tumors. It's a closed topic. I don't want to talk about it because I've been accused of giving false hope to people. In general, we sometimes try to work with people with non-advanced cases, and there's already some sense that these people are receiving serious help in combination with conventional treatment methods. We have good results with skin diseases that conventional medicine rarely treats, such as eczema, psoriasis, neurodermatitis, and so on. These channels clear up well. It treats things that medicine usually doesn't address, like insomnia. This method is intended for treating chronic conditions when a person can't help themselves. Now let's do a little practice. You just raise your hand, name a disease that concerns you. It might not be your own, but your relative. Don't specify who it is. Just name the disease and I'll tell you how to treat it.
Inflammation.
Inflammation is a very broad term.
Celiac disease.
I can't give you a clear answer right now. You need to see our doctor. It's a rare condition. We have some experience with it, but I can't say anything definitive yet.
Migraine.
Migraines are treated excellently. We have cases where people forget about the condition, even if it was severe.
Eye diseases.
Eye diseases, I believe, haven't been developed seriously yet, but it's worth trying.
Cholecystitis.
Cholecystitis, no problem.
Varicose veins.
Varicose veins. We've had cases where veins shrank, and in some cases they didn't. We don't give full guarantees, but it is sometimes treatable. We had a case where in 2 weeks a woman's veins disappeared completely on her legs. They became youthful again.
Meningitis in an adult with partial memory loss.
Meningitis is an acute condition. In cases where there is any form of inadequacy, we help and the person improves. It's not that they become perfect, but if conventional medicine does nothing, we do a lot, and that's our area.
Alcoholism.
Alcoholism is a social disease. One must listen to lectures. Almost all alcoholics have issues with their majadatu. It's where the nervous system is regulated, and they've had this issue since birth. We cleanse this channel, and it becomes easier for them to quit.
Autoimmune diseases.
On my website, torsunov.ru, there are reviews. We collect cases where people have been greatly helped, including systemic lupus erythematosus. One woman was completely cured. There are such results, it's worth trying.
Thyroid problems.
There are many good results with thyroid issues.
Stomach polyps.
We have many good results with the stomach.
Hepatitis C.
This one is not as straightforward. Some people benefit, others don't. It needs to be tried.
Diabetes.
No, we don't have good results with diabetes. We've seen improvement in function and reduced angiopathy, but we've never cured diabetes. Insulin itself destroys the possibility of treating it, affecting the pancreas. However, there are some results with non-insulin-dependent diabetes.
Non-specific ulcers.
Yes, we have several good results.
Is adenoma treatable?
Yes, adenoma is treatable.
Multiple sclerosis.
We've treated about 10 people with multiple sclerosis, 7 of whom improved significantly. However, since this is a long-term disease, we can't say we've cured them. They live without relapses, which is already good, but to claim they're completely cured, we'd need to observe them for 10 years.
Ischemic heart disease.
Yes, ischemic heart disease is treatable without any problems.
What about HIV if it's undetectable?
We don't have reliable results for HIV yet to say that it definitely helps.
Have you helped children?
Infants can be treated with bark. The bark is simply applied to the body and worn for 40-50 minutes twice a day. This has such a powerful effect that serious changes occur in the body after just 40-50 minutes. I tested this on myself. I had a mole right here near my nipple that had grown over a few months and needed to be removed. Since I felt it wasn't yet a serious situation, I tested the bark's effect. I applied it, and in 3 months the mole almost completely dissolved, leaving just the base. A doctor friend of mine simply froze the base with liquid nitrogen and it fell off, no scar left. The bark works very powerfully, it's a very strong method, and things like polyps pass through very well.
Psoriasis.
Yes, we have a lot of good results with psoriasis.
Arthritis, osteoarthritis.
We have a lot of good results for arthritis and osteoarthritis on the website.
Hypertension.
We also have a lot of good results with hypertension.
Heart defects.
Sometimes there's some improvement, but generally it's a surgical pathology. Children sometimes show some changes, but we can't make any definitive claims yet.
And what about infertility?
We help many people with infertility. This is actually our area of expertise. By clearing the subtle energy channels, we restore natural functions. Most often, infertility is located at a subtle energy level. Women usually are not diagnosed with anything, and even if something is found, after medical treatment, the infertility persists. We need to treat the subtle energy channels of both a husband and a wife, and then goodbye infertility. Many people have already been helped. We even had cases where a woman had amenorrhea, no menstruation. First, we restore her menstruation, and then she conceives. And later, while wearing the bark, she carries the pregnancy and gives birth, because the bark also helps pregnant women to carry their babies.
Excuse me, what if the hands are losing function?
In these cases, we also help. When it's related to the nervous system, in such advanced cases, it works.
It started during pregnancy and continues until now.
Yes, it's worth trying. We just never give 100% guarantees to anyone, because treating such chronic conditions requires strong contact with us and persistence from the patient. Because it involves constant body oiling, plus wearing the bark. If you use a bit more oil, it can cause overheating and inflammation. The more the bark is worn, the more the strain. But if a person is attentive to their body and keeps in touch with us, many people get good results.
Dr. Torsunov, how long does a patient usually stay in your center?
In our center, a patient usually stays with this method for 8 to 10 days. This is a very serious method, and everything must be carefully worked out before we release them. This treatment costs 70,000 rubles. It's just a treatment without nutrition. Nutrition is a little extra. You need to check everything on the website.
Do you treat menopause in women?
Yes, if the menopause is not caused by old age, we treat it, and many people benefit. Most of the time, the function is restored.
Stomach ulcer.
Yes, stomach ulcers are treated without problems.
Lung damage.
Yes, lung damage is also treated.
Adhesion disease with acute intestinal infection.
Acute conditions are surgical pathologies. How are we going to treat an acute condition? Are you kidding?
Well, after 2 surgeries, there were still attacks.
If it's no longer an acute condition, we can treat the adhesion disease.
I'm not sure what the disease is called. The muscle tissue is dying.
Myasthenia, probably.
I don't know.
You should try. It helps some people. It's related to the subtle energy channels. Once you cleanse the channels, disease becomes less bothersome.
What about insomnia?
Many people with insomnia had good results.
Duodenal ulcer.
I've already mentioned it. It helps well.
Alzheimer's disease.
Please ask Vyacheslav Nazarov. He will explain. We've had such patients, but I don't remember specific results.
Pyelonephritis?
Pyelonephritis, yes, many have been helped.
Can I ask about protrusion?
Yes, it has helped many people with protrusion. It works well in combination with yoga.
What about arrhythmia?
Arrhythmia. Our treatment has helped many people as well. All right, let's finish the discussion. We have free consultations on our website. Consult with us and everything will be explained. Specialists there know exactly if it helps or not. If they don't know, they ask a doctor. We have statistics. We keep track of who benefited from what and who didn't. We are done with this method. So to repeat how it works, the bark is selected remotely. A person comes to us, we test it on them, refine it for 8 days, and at the same time we prescribe herbs and oils. The patient also learns yoga with us. Additionally, an individualized diet plan is developed. It's all individual work with the patient. If necessary, they receive oil massages from us, but that's an additional procedure. I will now tell you about the next method. What is the first method based on? It's based on cleansing channels, but sometimes the channels are not heavily blocked, they don't need cleansing, and in that case we don't use bark, but instead we use gemstones. These 10-carat gemstones, such large ones, have the power to cleanse. Gemstones heal with fire energy. What do the gemstones do? They stimulate and cleanse these channels using fire energy. This science has been studied by me for 15 years. I am very familiar with it. We found a specialist in Jaipur, India, who collects gemstones from all over the world. Those gemstones are not heated. The rock is simply processed, not heated. Because, just so you know, most jewelry companies now sell heated gemstones. Heated gemstones are very beautiful. They look very bright. 80% of all precious gemstones in Russia, excluding diamonds, are heated to sell. They do not work from a healing perspective. That's why we use unheated gemstones. We had to work hard to find a person who has global connections and specifically gets the unheated rock for us, processes it, because the demand for them is very small. Mostly everyone needs a heated rock. This is all done for business, not for healing. How do the gemstones work? Each finger is connected to a specific planet. Planets are also connected to a person's health. Planets are also linked to these subtle energy channels, so each gemstone is selected individually. It is selected in a way that it deeply penetrates the body. When we individually select the gemstone and place it on the correct finger, the desired effect happens. This is all treated with white coral or cat's eye, which is placed on the index finger. I currently have 4 small white corals on my fingers. This is an old method. Now we place one large gemstone, which works stronger. This method has its advantages and disadvantages. The first advantage is that the effect lasts for life. The power of the gemstones does not diminish. Bark is simply a cleansing method. We provide the bark for a year. After that, the person can reorder it. We can send an additional supply of the bark just to complete the treatment. It's not expensive. So what are the advantages of gemstones? The advantage of this method is that it is inexpensive. In general, you need about 15,000–20,000 rubles to fully pick the gemstones that will treat several diseases at once. And interestingly, this is not a weak method. For example, if someone has mental imbalance, depression, or struggles to live, they place a couple of gemstones and feel real changes in their mental state. This really happens, and it happens constantly. You wear the gemstones and goodbye depression. Here in St. Petersburg, there's a young man who came to my festival and we selected gemstones for him. He placed them and immediately felt mentally better, so the gemstones work very quickly. It's a fast and effective remedy. Gemstones can treat many diseases, but how do they treat it? They heal through fire energy. It simply burns through these channels, but that doesn't mean we only treat cold people. Sometimes we cool people with the gemstones, or for example, if someone is hot all their life, they place the gemstone and the heat stops. Gemstones also help with mild increases in blood pressure. They can treat conditions that a person has, but are not too advanced, let's put it that way. And we ourselves decide who we will treat with gemstones and who we won't. It depends on the person.
So 15,000 rubles for one gemstone.
No, 15,000 rubles covers everything, including treatment and the cost of the gemstone, something like that.
Would it be better to use a sapphire?
No, we don't have 10-carat sapphires. We don't use precious gemstones. They aren't necessary. This is blue corundum, the same precious material. A gemstone has a tip, which is precious, and a base, which is the same gemstone but not transparent. We've noticed that the tips of gemstones affect deep mental functions and are not necessary for healing. For healing, specifically for the health of a person, the lower part is needed. It's not transparent by itself and is inexpensive. This blue corundum, for instance, costs about 26,000 rubles. But that's the top price. These are the most expensive gemstones. This is a precious material, while most gemstones, like mountain crystal, cost only about 4,000 rubles.
So do I need to come to choose it?
Yes, to choose the gemstone you need to come, because healing with gemstones is also a long process. It takes about 5 days. On the first day we choose the stones. Only the next day will it be clear if they've overloaded the patient or not. Then we know for sure if we picked correctly. But even if we did, there is a chance of overload because a gemstone can overload over time, not immediately. We have many good results. For example, a small child can't sleep. We hang a gemstone necklace around their neck. Goodbye, insomnia. Very convenient. A child wears the necklace, doesn't even know it's there, and they have no illnesses. Similarly, colds, nasal congestion, simply hang a necklace around the neck and that's it. We treat people of all ages with gemstones. There are 2 ways to wear them, a necklace around the neck and a ring on the finger.
What is the principle of your treatment?
If the channels aren't cleansed by the gemstones, we offer a person bark or we don't work with them at all.
Is this done by photo or in person?
It's in person. You send a photo and your details. The consultant can't determine, so they show it to me. I then make the decision. Most of the time it's clear. For example, if someone says, "My head hurts," if it's not all day but just a little bit, then one gemstone on the middle finger is enough. Goodbye, headache. Let's experiment. You just name your disease if you're brave, and I'll tell you if it can be treated with gemstones or not.
Migraine.
It can be treated with gemstones. One gemstone on the middle finger, and at most 2 on the middle and ring fingers. Goodbye, migraine.
I've been tortured by a fever.
Which gemstone I will explain now. For Saturn there are 12 types of gemstones, and each person has their own Saturn energy, so everything is chosen individually. First we choose the type of gemstone, and then we have about 30 gemstones of this type from which we select one that fits. It's not so simple.
Bronchial asthma.
We're now preparing scientific work on the treatment using white corals and cat's eye. A dissertation may be written on this topic. We've already seen that it's very effective. Many asthmatics feel easier to breathe with corals right away. So we've started working on it scientifically, and we're collecting data for scientific research on this topic, and I may write a dissertation. Dissertations are already being written on the treatment of vegetative vascular dystonia. We are pioneers in the field of gemstones. No one has written scientific works before. We are the first in this direction. We even collaborate with leading medical institutes, but I won't name them yet. It's a secret.
Women's diseases, erosion, adhesions.
Erosion is best treated with bark. Anything related to benign oncology or just structural changes in the body should be treated with bark.
What about papillomas?
Also bark.
What about cerebral blood vessels?
For vessels, if it's just toning, gemstones can be used. But if there is atherosclerosis, then bark is better.
And teeth?
Teeth are treated with gemstones. You? Do you have allergies? Better use bark. You already have complete damage. You can hang gemstones on your neck.
Is a gemstone effective for nephritis?
We use gemstones, but it's all individually selected. It doesn't suit everyone.
Varicose veins.
Only bark. Gemstones do not treat varicose veins.
Spine.
Gemstones can be used. Place a gemstone on the ring finger.
What about white coral earrings?
They have an effect, but they won't provide therapeutic action. Soon we will start selecting jewelry via the internet by photo. We will just select and name ready-made products, individually selected earrings. They will improve efficiency, but they won't have a therapeutic effect. They provide a good mood and boost productivity. Interestingly, if you want to check whether this is true or not, the earrings are selected individually for each ear. So if you switch them, it will make you feel worse. You can try. Different gemstones suit different ears. One ear might feel better with one earring and the other might feel worse. They are tailored to each ear. Therefore, there will be a right earring and a left one.
What if it feels worse?
If it feels worse, just move it to the other ear.
Stuttering.
There is improvement. To completely resolve it, you should work with a speech therapist.
Stomach.
This doesn't really say anything.
Pancreatitis.
It can be treated with gemstones.
What about sapphire?
Do you remember the old comedy skits with the two characters? One says the international, the other asks, which international? The first, second, third, or fourth? There are white sapphires, yellow ones, blue ones, and light blue ones. A blue sapphire goes on the middle finger. On our website, there's a section called Health Gemstones. There you will find all the information about which gemstone goes on which finger. It's all detailed there. Which gemstone associated with which diseases is all described, so you can study it. Everything is available.
How to treat glaucoma and gums.
Glaucoma is treated with bark, especially in older age. Gums can be treated with gemstones.
Liver parasites, is it a long treatment?
There is a parasite called Echinococcus. It eats up the liver, and instead of the liver, a cyst forms. Parasites vary.
A young girl, around 18-19 years old, constantly wants to eat river sand.
This can be treated with gemstones. This is a specific case. I won't go into further details.
What about low hemoglobin?
Low hemoglobin can be treated with gemstones without any problems.
Arrhythmia?
If you are the one who has it, gemstones can help.
Giardia?
Gemstones can help, plus herbs. When people come to us for gemstones, we also test the entire constitution and can additionally select herbs and oils. This will be a comprehensive treatment.
Dry joints?
Joints can be treated with gemstones and with bark, depending on the severity of the disease. Let's finish now. You must understand that gemstone therapy provides stable health in a specific direction. One gemstone does not treat the whole body, it only improves one aspect of our health. So when a person wears this gemstone, this aspect of health improves. When a person overheats, they wear the gemstone on their ring finger and they no longer overheat. With this gemstone, they feel comfortable. They don't feel stuffy, hot, or sweaty, and so on. Their temperature doesn't rise. If a gemstone is placed on the index finger, it treats nose, stomach, and so on, targeting specific systems of the body.
What if the coral is just at home, not on the finger, but in the room?
Yes, it will still have an effect, definitely.
What about salt lamps? Do they have therapeutic properties?
Let's talk about that. Let's discuss different treatment methods, what they do, and how they affect the body. The basic principle is this: what is taken internally works weaker but safer than what is used externally. What goes inside works weaker but safer than what is used outside. For example, drinking herbal teas is a safe, gentle method of treatment. Overall, it's better to treat with herbs than with pills. Herbs affect both the subtle energy body and the physical body, and therefore they address both the cause and the effect of the illness. Pills only affect the physical body, so they cannot treat the cause of the disease. The next method is homeopathy. What is this? It affects the subtle energy body. Homeopathic doctors are like psychologists. They try to select remedies based on a person's character. They treat the subtle energy body. What do they treat? There are bad mobile energies in the body, and there are blocked channels. Homeopathy doesn't treat these blocked channels. It harmonizes the entire body. So if a chronic disease wasn't inherited, homeopathy can cure it. But if the disease is congenital, it may need to be treated with other methods. The first method is fasting. It has an anti-aging effect on the subtle energy channels. There are different types of fasts. At the Medical Institute in Chelyabinsk, I gave a lecture on my method. I described different types of fasts and how they affect health. Listen to it and study. Fasting and detoxing cleanse the body from chronic diseases. A lecture given at the Medical Academy in Chelyabinsk is in the section of my treatment methods on the website. There is only one lecture there. Next, static exercises or yoga can cleanse the channels if you do each exercise for a long time, from 5 to 10 minutes. Such exercises cleanse the channels and cure chronic diseases. The next method is panchakarma. In South India, there is a healing system that has existed since ancient times, where a person is massaged with oils, the fire element is increased in them, they are given laxatives and other things, and the body is cleansed. Along with the physical body, the subtle energy body is also cleansed. Yoga combined with proper nutrition allows a person to rejuvenate in 3 weeks, but you need to find a good specialist, because if the specialist is bad, panchakarma can cause harm. This method is dangerous, so you need to go to places where there is a guarantee that you will be treated well. Find good specialists. Look for them through people who have been treated. People write reviews on the internet.
Can you recommend anyone?
I don't want to take responsibility, honestly. It's better if you search for specialists through people's reviews. The best panchakarma clinics are in the state of Kerala, South India.
What if there's too much fire in the body?
You can use a couple of gemstones. It's very easy to treat. Come to us. Usually these gemstones are inexpensive, light-colored gemstones, so it will cost around 10 to 15,000 rubles. Wear 2 gemstones and say goodbye to excess fire. You don't even need to use the bark or anything else. It's very easy to achieve. If a person has too much fire, the oil massage will increase the fire even more, and it can actually be too much. Oil represents fire.
Do you mean some specific type of massage?
There are many types of oil massages. We generally just recommend oiling. A person applies oil on themselves and walks around with it for half an hour, then washes it off. It's a very simple method. We select oil individually for each person, one that suits them for their whole life. They can use this oil for their whole life, and it's just sold in stores. Very affordable. Don't ask questions. You're not letting me move forward. I want to tell you more about cleansing methods. Cleansing the body from chronic diseases is also done by consuming raw vegetables. Raw vegetables also cleanse the channels, and fasting on raw vegetables also does it. You should eat the vegetables you like all day. Some like beets, some like pumpkin, others zucchini, etc. Eat it all day, and the body will gradually cleanse over time.
Can juices be used instead of vegetables?
Raw juices can be used. Cleansing the channels also happens through the prayer of spiritually elevated people. When a spiritually elevated person prays, these channels can be burned through. These miraculous types of healing happen because of such an effect. The next treatment allows a person to overcome diseases that are not related to these chronic processes. This is acupuncture and the effect of seeds on channels through points. Acupuncture in general balances the body. Mostly acupuncture affects the prana body of a person. Acupuncture treats the following diseases: severe weakness, fatigue, memory impairment. When something constantly hurts, pain is the energy of prana. For example, neuritis, radiculitis. Everything related to the nervous system is treated with needles. Anything related to weakness, pain, fatigue, reduced work capacity, and some types of mental disorders that are connected to mental tension or, on the contrary, lack of energy. All of this is treated with acupuncture by a good specialist. The most effective and safest method of acupuncture is auriculotherapy, where needles or seeds are placed in the ears. It's better to use seeds rather than needles. This is an even more effective and safer method, where the person simply wears seeds on their ear.
How are the ear points attached? How do they stay on?
They are attached with adhesive tape. They aren't nailed down. Small, very thin pins are also used. You won't even notice them. It feels like a mosquito bite.
It's difficult to sleep.
It's hard to sleep, but ear acupuncture is very effective. While large needles in the other parts of the body can work, the effectiveness is generally lower compared to working with the ear. This is because the work with the ear influences deep body processes. Next, homeopathy works through the subtle energy body of the mind. Acupuncture works through the prana subtle energy body and treats chronic diseases. Medications dissolving in the mouth have a very powerful immediate effect on both the mind and blood vessels. These are fast-acting but potentially dangerous. Dissolving substances in the mouth is a potent but dangerous method. External treatments using herbal powders or bark are highly individualized. They need to be selected individually. Their effect is difficult to achieve but very powerful. These treatments directly affect the subtle energy body. When we apply bark or herbal powder, the physical body doesn't engage with these. It is the subtle energy body that contacts these immediately. The effect on the subtle energy body is immediate. Please note that external treatments are stronger and more effective than internal ones. Internal treatment goes through the physical body to the subtle energy body. External treatments first go directly to the subtle energy body and then to the physical body. Now I can confidently recommend something to all of you right away. If you have the flu or a viral infection, I've developed a very effective and simple method. You can do the following. Take a thin pine branch with needles. You can also take 2 branches. You can do 2 things with them. The first option is to tie them to your right arm and right leg and walk around for an hour. If you don't feel better, tie them to your left arm and left leg. If you tie them correctly, you should feel improvement within an hour. And if you wear this for a day, you'll feel significant overall improvement just from wearing branches with needles.
Do you mean to tie the branches on the foot and on the palm? Where exactly should they be tied?
Tie them here, on the wrist, right here, on the hairy part of the wrist in front of the ankle. Tie them where the leg extends forward on the ankle. The branch should be positioned like a watch. Wear the branch like a watch. Use small branches with needles for children. For adults, use a branch about this length, 10 centimeters long. For small children, use a 2-centimeter branch.
Should the branch be tied directly to the body?
Wrap the branch with gauze, cloth, or a handkerchief. Don't press it against the body. This is a reflexology technique which affects the subtle energy body. You will feel the effect immediately. It is the most powerful remedy for viral diseases. You won't find anything more powerful. Nothing, no medications or pills works faster. During the festival, when people are closely in contact with each other, the probability of getting sick is very high. We have a dedicated staff on duty. Anyone experiencing a runny nose, scratchy throat, head heaviness, or difficulty concentrating immediately goes to the person on duty. And they tie these branches on. Goodbye, runny nose and scratchy throat. Everything goes away immediately.
How long should they be worn?
They should be worn for 4 or 5 days while the virus is still in your body. How does it work? The treatment works by starting at the top of the body and gradually moving down, then exiting. Symptoms are very mild. Your ability to work won't be affected. There are only 2 options for wearing branches. First, tie them to the right side. If you feel somehow uncomfortable, switch to the left side. One of the 2 options will help. You can wear them either on your right arm and right leg or on your left arm and left leg. You have 2 options.
How many minutes should these be worn?
Wear them all day and even leave them on at night. Wear them constantly. A pine branch with needles works for 24 hours, but it's better to wear it for 12 hours and replace it after 12 hours.
Where can I get a branch with needles and bark?
There are companies that produce pine needles and bark. These companies work around the clock outside the city. These companies are located there. You go to the company. The company is called Pine Tree. It's absurd to think that sausage grows in the store. This is the absurd situation we have found ourselves in. We've already arrived at this point. Likewise, when people ask, where can I find cow manure? I answer in the same manner. There are companies that produce cow manure. They are mobile.
What about spruce?
Spruce sometimes works, but pine is more reliable, succeeding in 90% of cases. St. Petersburg has pine trees, doesn't it? This is my recommendation to everyone to use the pine branches. They definitely help, and you should use them because viral diseases destroy health. Viral diseases cause complications. You can also use pine branches for parotitis or mumps. Follow the same instructions, and relief should come more easily. This method works only for viral infections. If it's a different illness, I can tell you something about that too.
Can it help with meningitis?
Yes, this treatment can specifically help with meningitis. Let's continue. Intestinal infections can be treated with tansy. Use tansy flowers, brew them according to the package instructions, otherwise they can be poisonous. Intestinal infections are also treated with wormwood root. If you don't have the root, you can use regular wormwood from the pharmacy. It is a natural antibiotic for intestinal infections.
Can it be given to a child?
It can be given to a child, but the dose should be reduced by 4 times. St. John's wort treats bacterial infections, streptococcus and staphylococcus. Walnut and walnut partitions treat bacterial infections of the lungs. This is a particularly effective treatment. Lung infections are also treated with pine bark decoction. You can make it from any coniferous tree. Boil the bark in small doses and you'll get good results. Grapefruit treats stomach infections, but only for those who don't have increased acidity. Those who have increased acidity need to treat stomach infections and infections of the duodenum with calendula, chamomile, or calamus and calamus roots. These 3 remedies treat infectious processes in the stomach. Brain infections are treated with citrus. You can use orange, mandarin, grapefruit, and pomelo peels.
Could you repeat what they treat?
They treat infections and illnesses connected to the brain, such as ears, nose, and all infectious processes located in the head. You need to choose by smell. If the smell is light, fresh, and cool, then the remedy is suitable for you. If the smell is warm, unpleasant, rotten, then it's not suitable. Pleasant is suitable, but the smell should also be cool. Then the remedy is suitable.
Should the peels be brewed?
It's better to brew the peels. You can also chew them fresh.
What if an infant has staphylococcus?
Staphylococcus infections in children are treated wonderfully with mustard. You can simply dust the child's body all over with mustard powder. There is also a spice called turmeric. It works against staphylococcus too. Just coat the skin with the powder, and the healing happens reflexively. It's better to treat children this way. Now, the next method often helps a lot, especially for older people. Usually when an elderly person has poor blood circulation, heart problems, low energy, and feels generally unwell, this simple method works wonders. It's incredibly simple. Take 4 teaspoons of oats or oatmeal, fresh oats are even better, and tie them to all 4 limbs. Wear them for 24 hours.
How?
1 teaspoon or 1 tablespoon per limb, that's it, and at the same time the person should drink oat broth. It gives excellent results for heart issues, circulation problems in the heart, brain, kidneys, everywhere.
How do you tie it on?
Just wrap the oats inside a piece of cloth and tie it around. The oats stay inside. And you tie it around the hairy part of the wrist and ankle.
How often should it be changed?
Change it once every 24 hours.
For how many days?
As long as you like, until you get tired of it. These are the methods. Now another method. For cerebral circulation problems, prunes work very well. Prunes should not be completely dried out. Not the completely dried out ones. They should still be a little moist with pits inside. You tie 1 prune to each limb, again on the hairy side. 1 prune for each limb. It's especially good for acute issues with cerebral circulation. When you feel unwell, tie on the prunes, and you'll feel better right away.
Can this be used after a stroke?
No, don't use it after a stroke. You may only use it when cerebral circulation is suffering. I'm not talking about serious brain emergencies. I'm talking about common issues. when someone feels unwell, dizzy, or off balance. Tie the prunes on, and you'll feel much better. You might also be wondering about warming methods, like electrophoresis and other treatments placed on the back. These methods are simple. Electric current is always bad energy. You can't create something good out of something bad. Now let me list all the types of fire that exist in this world. Of these, which ones are good and which ones are bad? First, the sun is the pure goodness fire. Next is fire from fruit trees. Same goes for the fire from dairy products, ghee or clarified butter, and even dried manure. In Ayurveda, an ancient Vedic medicine, they make medicines using dried manure and ghee. The fire from ghee is very pure, and it heals. A lamp lit with ghee, if you make a wick, is used for worship. It purifies consciousness. Just looking at the flame has a healing effect. Even just looking at the cotton soaked in ghee has a healing effect. After the sun, fruit trees, ghee, and manure are the next purest fires available to us. Next is firewood, simply the fire from trees. Firewood is a healing fire that gives health to a person and their transformation. Cooking on firewood provides people with health. The next fire, which is worse than firewood, is coal fire. Even worse is natural gas fire. Worse still is electric fire. And the worst fire is the microwave fire. It cannot be used at all. This is the absolute taboo. If electricity is still somewhat acceptable, microwaves are completely bad. You can say goodbye to your health. It's impossible to be healthy while using a microwave. The best use for your microwave is as a stand for something. You can only use it as a storage place or a house for your cat.
Is a multi-cooker the same kind of fire?
If it's electric, it's not terrible. You can somehow live with it, but microwaves are completely bad.
Did Ayurveda and ancient teachings know about microwaves?
I'm just sharing my own experience and understanding of things. The fire of the sun is the original fire. It is connected with divine power. It is divine fire. All other types of fire are its transformations.
But there are people who don't heat food in microwaves, only take herbal medicines, and still do bad things.
Do you have a microwave at home?
No.
There is a concept in Sanskrit called the philosophy of the old bed. I'll tell you a story now. There was a very poor man who got married. He had an old bed. This only bed of his collapsed the first time he lay down with his wife. So he announced to the whole village that sleeping on the floor is the healthiest way to sleep, and that one shouldn't sleep on a bed at all. This is how people justify their circumstances. This is called the philosophy of the old bed. When does it work? When someone owns a microwave, they argue that it's good. I have knowledge and understanding why it's not good. When the energy of the sun passes through the earth, it becomes befouled. There are trees of pure goodness. Fruit trees are of goodness. Trees of pure goodness have pure fire. There are also trees that are not of pure goodness. Then there are shrubs. The fire from shrubs is even worse because it is less pure. Is this your first time at my lecture?
Yes, I just learned about you.
Very good. Keep listening.
I'm wide-eyed looking at all this.
That's okay. Here's a flower from me. Knowledge comes through love. I will share my love with you and you will immediately feel that what I say is true. Let's move on. How do warming treatments work? Try to understand this. Yes, they work and they help, but how exactly do they act? When a person comes into contact with dirty fire, electrical energy, electromagnetic waves, all these forms of dirty fire, what happens? It stimulates the body's defense forces. The body begins to fight this fire. First, there is aggravation and a worsening. Then comes recovery. So warming treatments work by stimulating the body. They attract the body's defensive forces to a certain area. You can use all these warming treatments and procedures once, occasionally, that's okay. But if you use them constantly, you end up depleting the body's defensive forces. The diseases then become chronic. Ultimately, it leads to even worse outcomes. That's why all these methods are very dangerous, especially with long-term use. If you want to warm your body, there's the sun. Use the fire of ghee, clarified butter, or the simple fire of a regular village stove with firewood. These kinds of warming treatments actually heal you. You lie on a warm wood stove with your back, and your back pain goes away. Or heat up a sauna with firewood. That's real treatment. Now, speaking of sauna treatments, sauna immediately soothes the bad fire energy, which causes inflammation in the body, and also the bad air energy, which causes instability and discomfort. This is a very powerful method, but everyone should use the sauna in a way that fits their own nature. Here's how it works. If a person has a lot of fire energy first, they should cool off. Use cold water, or warm water, or cool water, but water first. Then go to the steam room, then cool down again. What kind of cooling? Whatever feels comfortable to you. For some it's cold water, for others cool water, for some warm water. But until you've cooled down, you shouldn't return to the steam room. Cooling is an essential part of the healing process. In saunas where the temperature is not high, such as Turkish or Russian baths, you need to spend a long time in the steam room, but it's better if the temperature is not high. When the temperature is too high, the warmth doesn't penetrate deeply and only burns the skin. But when the temperature is lower, the heat reaches deeper into the body. While in the sauna you may drink herbal tea, but you shouldn't eat anything or drink alcohol. The sauna is not intended for pleasure or entertainment, it is meant for healing. You should simply relax and observe yourself. You may engage in pleasant conversations, but under no circumstances should you have sex, argue, or play games. A person should heal in the sauna. It is a space for healing. It is a powerful method for restoring health, especially for those people who have traveled by plane or train. When a person experiences vibrations, the best way to recover is through the use of water. Lying in a bath, first warm, then hot, then cold, then hot again, gradually draws all the vibrations into the water, and the person feels as if they had never flown. You can fly for 8 hours and then go straight to the sauna. Whenever I arrive in St. Petersburg, I always visit the sauna first. Only afterwards do I give my lecture. I recover completely there.
Now almost all baths are electric.
Electric heat is fine, nothing terrible, but wood is better. You shouldn't go to a public sauna. First, there is the risk of fungi. Second, it's not good when naked strangers look at each other. You can simply fill your own bathtub, first with warm water, then hot, then cold, and it will work just like a steaming bath.
How long can you steam?
You can lie there for an hour, but you need to keep changing the temperature.
And afterward, do you apply oil?
Applying oil is a very effective way to maintain your health, especially when applied to the hair. I apply a small amount of oil to my hair every day. Everyone in my family is bald on both my father's and mother's side, but as you can see, I'm not, at least not yet. That's because I've been oiling my hair for about 20 years every day. Everyone has a type of oil that suits them best. There are only 3 types of oils that are suitable for a person. Out of only 3 options, each person should choose the one that feels right. You will sense it yourself. You can also oil your entire body. I'll explain how. The 3 options are sesame oil, ghee, or coconut oil. Different oils suit different body types. In the morning after you take a shower, take one of these 3 oils that you prefer and apply a very thin layer all over your wet body. You literally need just a few drops of oil to cover your entire body. You put a drop on your hand, spread it all over your arm, then another drop for the other arm, then your stomach, and so on, covering your entire body. After washing your hair, apply a little oil to it as well and rinse again. Any excess oil will wash off, leaving just the right amount on your skin. This oil practice will help heal colds, boost immunity, improve digestion and thinking, and protect against dry skin and women's health issues. It helps prevent many diseases.
Is this done in the morning or evening?
It should always be done in the morning. First you shower, then apply oil to your wet body, shower lightly again, and dry off.
I did it in the evening and couldn't fall asleep.
That means this oil doesn't suit you. In our center, we have 80 types of oils, but only 3 are universally suitable. They never overload the body. There are no other oils like these. If you applied one of these 3 and felt worse, simply try another one. One of the 3 will definitely help you. Better yet, take all 3 oils, look at them carefully, and choose the one that feels most comfortable to you. That one is yours. What else are you interested in?
Aromatherapy.
Aromatherapy is a very powerful and dangerous method of treatment. Aromatherapy affects the subtle energy body immediately and has a strong effect. There are certain aromatic oils that are beneficial for everyone. These are aromatic oils from sacred plants: saffron oil, mint oil, sandalwood oil, and frankincense oil. In general, be aware that most aromatic oils sold in stores are just chemical. They have no true healing properties. For real aromatic rose oil, you need 40 kilograms of rose petals to produce just 1 small jar of oil. Naturally, this makes it very expensive and not easily accessible. However, genuine rose oil is also suitable for everyone. Everyone can safely use oils from sacred plants, such as mint oil. You can use it by lighting a paraffin candle, placing a small dish over, and heating that small dish. You pour water into it and add a single drop of aromatic oil. The aroma spreads throughout the home as the water evaporates. What does it do? Mint oil improves cerebral circulation. Almost everyone can use mint. Menthol improves cerebral circulation. Mint oil is extracted very easily. It helps cool down the body from mental overheating, enhances work capacity, strengthens the subtle energy body and the nervous system, and benefits those engaged in intellectual work. The aroma spreads gently through water evaporation, and it's important not to add too many drops. Too much can overload the system.
What about fir oil and eucalyptus?
That's dangerous. Fir oil can be used cautiously as a preventive measure against colds, but eucalyptus oil is highly stimulating and should be used with care.
What about tea tree oil?
Let's remember what I've already shared with you about oils that will help you. The best oils for general use are only mint and sandalwood oil. Sandalwood oil, however, is very expensive and not easy to find. Just like rose oil, mint oil is widely available. Mint oil is your best choice. Everything else you find on the market is either deceptive or can cause harm. There are 60 types of aromatic oils that I know of. Most of them are very potent. They are not simply pleasant fragrances, but very strong medicines that deeply affect hormonal functions. If you use the wrong aromatic oil, you might experience unexpected consequences. Anything from infertility to some kind of psychosis inside your home. This means that it didn't suit you, but it could already be too late. Aromatherapy has a strong effect, so you should use it carefully.
What about scented sticks?
Scented sticks can be used, but again, only certain kinds. Saffron, sandalwood, mint, and frankincense. Most other incense sticks can have undesirable effects. Aromatic oil is better than aromatic sticks because sticks produce smoke. And smoke always means some kind of overload on the body. Those who use these sticks for a long time most often develop an intolerance to all of this. They might eventually develop a sensitivity, watery eyes, a runny nose, or other reactions.
What about magnet therapy?
Magnet therapy is a very strong method of influencing the body. It can help, but you shouldn't use it often and for a long time because it changes the magnetic structure of the body. In general, it is considered a dangerous, harsh method of influencing a person. Magnet therapy can relieve a severe exacerbation, but it should not be used continuously. You need to study this and apply it with knowledge. Different types of metals have different energetic effects. For example, gold warms the body while silver cools. If a person feels hot, they wear either white gold or silver. If a person feels cold, they wear copper or gold. Copper and gold warm you up. There is a lot of this and everything has some effect, you understand?
Infrared sauna?
Why do you need that? Tell me why. There are just regular firewood saunas. Why infrared light? Why use electric light when you have just firewood or just regular warmth? Nuclear magnetic sauna.
Could you please share your thoughts about Reiki?
It's healing with human energy. Often people turn it into some kind of legend, but mostly ordinary people cannot use any supernatural energies. In order to use divine energy, you must be a pure, spiritually elevated person. Nowadays, they've made a mockery of it. If you simply believe in it, put your hand over someone and think about sublime things. Healing occurs. Any person can do this without being initiated into Reiki.
A person who practices this starts to feel subtle entities and communicate with them.
That means they're heading to a mental hospital soon.
Dr. Torsunov, what do you think about meditation?
Meditation is very good. It's a very powerful healing method. It's based on the idea that a person sets a positive intention, wishes everyone happiness. Active meditation is better than passive meditation. When a person meditates passively, they just merge with the surrounding space. And the surrounding space right now is unhealthy. That's why the best kind of meditation is active meditation. I wish everyone happiness. By the way, how much time do we have left? It's time for meditation. Now we're going to wish everyone happiness and we'll have a meditation session.
What about osteopathy?
Osteopathy is a good method. Look, in our body with each illness there are certain blockages. The osteopath finds these blockages, removes them, and eliminates the diseases. Usually not chronic diseases are treated, but acquired ones that appear in the body due to activity. When a person works or does something, they develop certain blockages. And the osteopath removes these blockages. A person becomes more productive and active, but chronic diseases do not go away.
What if migraines appear?
If migraines arise from work, then it can help. But if the fifth energy channel is affected just in life, then osteopathy will not help. Osteopathy is a good method for optimizing a person's life and work.
Tell us about treating with mushrooms.
Treating with mushrooms is not a good treatment because mushrooms are a degraded form of life that affects a person parasitically. All mushrooms are parasites. They all invade someone else's life. Mushrooms always invade someone's life. They don't just grow by themselves.
They say mushrooms can treat cancer.
It's true that mushrooms can treat cancer, but different treatment methods have their pros and cons. There are forms of treatment in pure goodness, and there are ones in degradation. For example, all alcohol-based medicines are already degraded treatment. They spoil the mind, although they may be effective for the body. Mushrooms are the same. There are different types of treatment. If a person has cancer, they should try everything. Let's see how mushrooms act. They are parasites, and how do they act? One mushroom enters the body. It allows something else to enter because mushrooms suppress the body's natural immunity. Therefore, if you indulge in eating mushrooms, fungi begin to appear in your body because natural immunity is suppressed.
What about kombucha?
It is better not to indulge in all types of mushrooms, any kind of them.
I have 3 questions. Many people pierce their earlobes.
Yes, I have already seen results where piercing the earlobe causes serious damage to the body.
What about the fact that women pierce their ears?
They are like monkeys doing whatever they want.
Regarding sauna whisks, people mostly use oak, birch, and juniper sauna whisks.
That's fine. A linden whisk relaxes, an oak wand tones, and a juniper whisk gives tone and treats immunity. Birch also relaxes and treats the nervous system and blood vessels.
Does herpes get treated with gemstones?
Yes, with white coral. All right, my dears, I think you're all tired because we're not talking about spiritual things, just health. It's a tiring conversation, useful but tiring.
What if you don't pay attention to diseases?
If you don't pay attention to diseases, something might fall off soon. I advise you all to lead a healthy lifestyle and definitely get checked because there are diseases that develop silently, hidden conditions. A person shouldn't ignore a disease. One must take care of their health. And speaking of official medicine is good for everything related to childbirth. That's important, don't reject it. Intensive therapy, intensive treatment of infectious diseases, that's good. Surgery, emergency intensive care, that's good. Modern diagnostic methods that don't cause harm are varied. Electrocardiograms, ultrasounds, and so on, they're not that dangerous. Don't be afraid of this. But anything related to X-rays and various punctures, tomography, that's something you shouldn't overdo. Fluorography is already dangerous. It should be done in some cases when necessary, but just for preventive purposes, there are simpler methods to find out what's inside you. Fluorography once a year isn't dangerous. That's it now. Listen to me, diagnostics are good. Just therapy, treating with pills, that's bad, you understand? If you want to treat yourself using modern medicine, taking pills, you shouldn't do it. It doesn't help. It just stops the process. Treat with herbs, treat with natural elements, treat with earth, sun, air, and trees. These are the most powerful methods. You can't imagine how strongly the body is healed just by regular sunlight. It's thousands of times stronger than any heating, just normal sunlight. It works gently and imperceptibly, which is why it seems like there is not much benefit from just being in the sun. But the body receives health from it in a very strong way, as it does from mountains, forests, rivers. This is the best way to treat yourself. You just need to lead a healthy lifestyle, interact more with nature, and take fewer pills. Treatment is good, but only where there are herbs, where there are natural elements, where a person is treated with gymnastics, treated with massage, treated by trees, herbs, and gemstones. That's all good, but pills are bad.
Is traveling from winter to summer good?
It's all right. It's a bit scary for the immune system, but not too much. For some, it's fine. For others, not so much. Some people go and then get sick. If a person can't tolerate a hot climate, they shouldn't go there to relax. Some people prefer a cold climate for vacation. If people are always hot, they should go to cold climates. If a person feels cold, they should vacation in hot places. Like the song says, I'll take you to the tundra, I'll take you alone. You have a hot body, you're always hot. Why go to warm countries? It doesn't always end up being good. All right, my dears.
Dr. Torsunov, please remove my prejudice that pharmacy herbs are bad.
Pharmacy herbs are good, it's fine. I've removed the prejudice. It's even better when herbs are gathered by a person with love. It's even better when herbs are gathered at the right time. But even those gathered at the wrong time and without love are still good.
I ask this not just out of curiosity. My grandmother treated people with herbs and prayer.
That's even better. If you have herbs combined with prayer, that's even better.
Yes, and she, for example, gathered herbs. She had the knowledge which specific herbs were needed.
That's even better.
She didn't pass on this knowledge. As for pharmacies, I'm skeptical and don't buy herbs there, because I have this understanding that they should be gathered properly.
You can gather them improperly, and they'll still help. If you see a good girl in the wrong place, you should still take her.
Dr. Torsunov, may I ask a question? Isn't disease a result of karma?
Disease is a result of karma, and treatment is mercy.
If you go through treatment, will the disease return?
It can return if you live wrongly, but if you found a good doctor, it means God has given you mercy. He helped you in life. Mercy is also good. If you want to work off your karma through hemorrhoids, that's also fine. You can do it through suffering, but it's better to overcome fate with mercy. Some people don't like mercy. They say, you have to treat your karma yourself, and they walk around with hemorrhoids. That's fine too. Everyone heals in their own way. Some do it through suffering, others through knowledge. I wish you all happiness, my dears. All the best. I'm very grateful that you came to this lecture. Thank you so much. To learn more on the subject of health and healing of the body, please make sure to read my health guide, available for download on my YouTube channel or on my Instagram page. Thank you very much, and see you soon.